Yeah, why not hit that? Thank you. Thank you. So welcome everyone is with us from back in our homeland of Ojai, California. So thank you. And for those others that are here that I haven't yet met, I know Lisa was with you. Welcome, because this is the solstice. And so whether you're in the Southern Hemisphere or the special time where we have our longest day and our shortest day, as well as however else that you celebrate this change of season, would you like to open the space?
Yeah, I welcome you also warmly, and we call this program "The Universe has shared a huge invitation." We all know life shakens us often and can we see a couple. We met in a Jewish-German reconciliation project over 20 years ago. And since then, we feel that this is something really dear to our heart, to work with collective wounds. And and what does peace look like? What does it feel like within you? And so our subtitle for this program is Peace is the Power Within You. So let's explore together in this next hour what wants to reveal to this topic. So warm welcome. So Brian, we had thought to have a little short video from Gary Malkin to bring us all to the presence. Maybe Shamina can put it up. There's no
We're
music.
missing the volume. We're missing the volume.
Maybe the sound here.
As we open this virtual space, let's connect and be present with each other. Let's get to know each other with kindness and gentleness. Let's listen to each other with generosity in our hearts. Let's learn from each other with curiosity and wonder. We are a part of nature. We are a part of Earth. We are a part of life. May we use our time together to add to peace and truth and goodness in the world.
Mm. Thank you. Thank you for that coming together. So, as our title of this program, um, I'd like to invite each of you, in no particular order, but just if you'd like to unmute yourself and share whether you feel the universe shaking you, and just to hear a little bit, not incredibly long, but just a check-in about that. And we'd like to bring us from the challenges that we're facing into a deep resonance in our hearts to awaken the peace within us. So, with that said, maybe we can go to gallery, and if you want to just unmute yourself and check in or share how you feel shaken by the present state of our universe and how it lives within you. Okay, I see we have more beloveds coming in. Good to see some of you. It's been a while.
Well, I certainly feel the universe shaking me, and it's been shaking me these past 3 years. And right now, there's a very big shake to say, come fully into who you are. Like there's no more to hide behind. There's nothing else. Just align fully, come into who you are and be that.
Thank you. Thank you. So for those of you who came on just a little bit after we started, welcome. And what I posed the question, given that the theme of this is the universe has shaken you to awaken you, and we're just taking a little short check-in about what is shaking you. Our dear universe is really in dramatic changes, and how it's impacting you. We'd love to hear.
Good morning, all. Brian, Lisa. Definitely, I'm in a shaking moment, if I could say that. I'm preparing to go on a retreat this weekend for a week, and everything that needs to be looked at is coming up right now. And so, okay, shake me then, beloved, shake me. So that's it.
Thank you, Tom.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Those two things go together for me as well. We closed the last session with the idea of not hiding and not being stingy, and to further Hasina's dig deep to be ourselves. One of the things that's come clear for me this week is what Fatah just pointed out, is it will always be true that I'm not telling the truth. It might not be clear to me, right? But welcoming myself into the spiritual journey where I'm about to be enlightened, right? I'm about to be clear on how I was lying yesterday, something like that. And it is God grabbing me around the neck. That's what happens.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate your honesty.
I might like share also from the previous session that one aspect was the fear of the unknown. Like when life is shaking us, it brings clearly up fear about the unknown. The mind would like to know. So can I trust this unknown that is unfolding?
Brian and Lisa, my name is Herman. The universe has certainly shaken me, and my wife Hanneke and I are honored to be speaking in the session after you, because you are speaking about the universe has shaken you to awaken you, and then we are going to speak about an awakening. So I will reserve my comments for that session. But yes, the universe has shaken us.
Anyone else would like to share how are you shaken and what it feels like in you? How your peace melted away?
I'm getting a little shaken because somebody who's wanting to be on with the, and so I apologize for not being fully present with you. But I can check in about myself. I have been on a really, really big action phase of my life right now. And when we came to Poland from the United States, there's really been a lot of adjusting. And maybe Lisa and I will share a little bit that we just completed a delegation with 13 participants and representing 9 different countries. And we met in Auschwitz, and we were looking at, because we had 2 representatives from Japan, the horrors of Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombing and the Holocaust as it was presented to the world through the Auschwitz Museum and camp. We were to really go inward from a place that is probably some of the most horrific behavior of humanity against humanity. It was, what can I say? The outer and the approach was having to just dive inside. And what can I let go of my fear? What can I let go of my anger, horrific crime? Can I bring about healing inside? Can I let go? And I recognize that when I went in the delegation, I still had some bias around certain behaviors And maybe it wasn't just bias, it was judgment, serious wanting justice to be played for war crimes, crimes against humanity. So as a person that loves humanity, loves people, this was really a very deep dive. So I'm still shaking a bit, or maybe a lot, but I'm happy to be here. World Unity Week is dear to my heart. This is my third year participating, and what it represents is that there is a global family of people that want peace and unity. And when during the pandemic, this was a absolute breakthrough for me to find this family from around the world. And so thank you for listening to me. And anybody else want to jump in now? Please do.
Yeah, maybe I can just add to that, because we both were in this program, and here it was about the collective wound, the trauma that emanated to the whole world. And in a way, understanding that it was about my inner journey, or like Brian shared his inner journey, and knowing at the same time there is a unified field. So we are all connected. And it reminded me on Bernie Glassman, who did many visits to Auschwitz, was the co-founder of the Zen Peacemakers. And he said something like, when we see the world as one body, it's obvious that we heal everyone at the same time, that we heal ourselves, or there are no others. So that is something that came back again and again in this program. We were so like my inner healing that was shaking, being a German, holding also the energies, the pain that my people did at that time. And my personal now beingness that is shaken through life. So, and it was beautiful to be in a group like this inner work, realizing we are all hurting, and we all, in a way, how can we heal to come to a place of creating the future from the now place, and not holding our personal past, the family past, even the collective society past. So in that way, it was like a big shakening to that I committed to this project that was beyond my personal life. So for me, it has a lot to do really with this connecting deeply with my truth and sharing the truth. And I'd like to, let's have it really as a circle here to share what is on your heart that needs to be heard, and to be listened with compassion and loving kindness, without judgment, in a safe place. We are here. So
I see Doris has her hand up.
yeah.
So.
Thank you, Lisa and Brian, for sharing your fears and your feeling. I'm Doris. I live in Berlin, and I just came back from holidays in Corfu, from a little place where friends of us meet for now more than 30 years. And this time it was different, because we could really see how the ocean took more of the beach away. It's a third part of this little village is gone. And we all were in a way closer, because we talked about what's going on in the world, and what we can do and how it feels, and that we felt anyway in a way safe there because we are surrounded from nature. And this is like a run away from what's going on in the world, because we can't stop it. I don't know how to stop that stuff, what's going on. And when I go in this fear, I think it's like you said about Auschwitz, it's too big for one person. So I think that's why it's good to have a community and talk about these things and what each person maybe can do, and believe in that most of us would love to save the planet and make peace prevail on Earth.
Thank you, Doris. Thank you. Elizabeth, you had your hand up. Did you want to share?
Before I do a formal sharing, I wanted to say it's great to be here, and I'm here because you guys put this out, and I love you guys. And it's great to see Fatah. Probably doesn't remember me from 20 years ago in Ojai, but it's nice to see your face, Fatah, if you don't remember me. And I'm curious what this is a part of. I didn't know about World Unity Week, and a couple people mentioned that they're presenting after, so I'd be curious later. So the question about being shaken, when you said it, my immediate response was, it depends on the day.
Yeah.
It's on the day.
Right now.
You know, and today I'm not feeling shaken, and I think I'm responding to shaken differently. Both the shaken, the things in the world, the things in me. And as somebody also mentioned, I think it was I got my double glasses to read your name, Hasina, maybe. I'm sorry if I butchered your name there. I think she mentioned how she's responding or becoming, or something about being fully oneself. And I think my response to the shaken has been several things. One, it's moving inside. It's action. And, you know, it's the moments of really feeling the shaken and feeling the sadness, the fear, the mourning, feeling it. And in that, for me, this is my process, like I suppose one of them, it's suddenly there's this incredible honoring of all of this shaken, the honoring of the shaking, and how it feels in me. And then from that honoring, I can feel the peace. I can feel this, suddenly there's space. And then this peace comes in, and I'm not shaken. It kind of holds and infuses the shaken, which enables me to move back into action or movement or meditation again. You're talking about Germany and being a Jewish German couple makes me think about, and I don't know what I think about it particularly, but you know, my closest friend was born in Nazi Germany during the war to a German family, and she's passed on since. And you know, I would love to go to Germany and visit. And I have somebody in my family that wants nothing. He's fascinated by the World War II movies, but he will not ever go to Germany because he's, you know, so it's a really interesting contrast between the two of us, and how, you know, I'm just reflecting on that with not making him wrong or me right or anything like that, or vice versa. It's just an interesting contrast in the same family, how two people can respond so differently to a horror that happened, and it's just interesting. And today I'm not really feeling shaken, unless because I'm speaking, but
Thank you, Elizabeth, and thank you, Doris. And I heard that when we are shaken, that community is very, very important, that we have people we can share with and feel safe to share what's on our heart. And what you just shared, Elizabeth, that depending on your mood and your shaking, that honoring is a key for you. So when you honoring it, that you can access your inner peace again. You can let move through you the emotions that you experience.
Community.
So these
And
are
community.
and community
you-
too. So yeah, beautiful. So these are already beautiful tools to have in our toolkit when suddenly something hits us and we are shaken. Who else would
Julie?
like to share?
Julie does. Raise her hand.
Mhm.
And then Amelia. Julie, you have to unmute.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm sorry I came in a little late. I've been on programs all day. I was on the 16 pledges and then I was on the holo movement, and it's just so amazing. But an anecdote from this last share that was made, I have to share with you that I have a meditation path. I've been involved with it for maybe 47 years. And it's worldwide. And I grew up in a family where my father had come from Czechoslovakia to escape Nazism and all of that. And of course, it was always such a traumatic, fearful thing for me. I never thought I'd ever go to Germany, though I wanted to see the world. And in around 1988, the meditation teacher of this whole big organization was going to Heidelberg, and she announced it, and I immediately said to my husband, we have to go. And it wasn't even like thinking, it was, we have to go. And interestingly, this organization had a large board with people on it from all over the world. The teacher only invited the Jewish board members to come with her. And we went. We only stayed 3 days in Heidelberg. And when I put my foot on the ground, whatever was happening subconsciously, in my cells, whatever, I knew that doing it and having to do it and responding was going to be essential in this life. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you,
for
Julie.
sharing it.
Thank you. We have, how do you pronounce your name? Amelie?
Amelie.
Amelie. Okay.
Yes, I'm from Holland.
Thank you.
I like to share being 40 years a healer and involved in Peace Flame and many peace movements, as my biggest shaking up was when I opened up my inner loneliness. Whereas I know now that my inner peace is the most important tool. And I couldn't handle this as a child, where I was crying a lot. How can the world be like this? And I couldn't handle it later in life unless meditating and crying. I couldn't eat and watch the television with people having no food. I couldn't all handle this. And then it miraculously happened that I met soul warriors, peace warriors all over the world in a big group of, I weekly meet 200, 400 people, where I could contain to look inside to my own darkness. And therefore, real peace is growing in me. And therefore, I can really contain and hold the growing from other people and the growing from our world into peace. Thank you for sharing.
Yes, beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's beautiful and also empowering, from this deep place of suffering, of loneliness, to come to a peaceful place. You learn from other peace builders how they can stay in their peace, though there might be chaos and all the atrocities of life around them. So when I heard from you that being present with it was the tool to access your inner peace. So being present with it and tuning in. The natural tendency is moving away. So how can we have the courage to move towards it?
Yes.
Yeah, so I want to honor that, Amelie, that you did that.
And we all help each other now at this very moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Not only in this week, but all over the year.
Anyone else want to share? Pata?
A couple weeks ago, well, a month ago, and months in June and May and June, I went online to Dr. Jerzy Wojciech's virtual Auschwitz. And I went the second time because I didn't get a chance to go in the Q&A and thank him so much that he put out. And then my daughter bought tickets for me for Father's Day present to go to the Ronald Reagan Library. And when it's not too far away, not long ago, again, Auschwitz. But I'm going to, and this is, cultivating peace is always in a moment. So my daughter let me out in the upper area because all the parking was filled. And I was waiting for her. And there was a woman to my right. And I heard her say, "Ugh." And I looked down at her. She was shorter than me. And her body was tense. And I could feel that in me. I could feel her tenseness. Not that it altered me. And I looked at her. Then she pointed across the street where on the street, every once in a while, they had banners of all the presidents. And the banner across the way was Barack Obama. And she went, "Grrr, dark history." And then the words that came out were, "Isn't it interesting about history? It's all filled with stories, just like our own lives. Sometimes dark, sometimes light. And it keeps moving on." And then she looked up at me like a river. I said, "Yeah, the river. Let it keep flowing. Let it keep flowing." And so, anyway, and here she was going to go into the Auschwitz museum. I had an afterthought like, well, I wonder what happened to her. But it was a moment that when we encounter something of another, whatever their behavior, and it strikes us. But if it strikes us, it's going back to that calm center. Oh, I see this reaction in myself. But how can I be right now, and let that go? Let her reaction go, and that's without judging it. It was expressed just as it was, and I think that's our opportunity. Whatever that confronts us, to really come back in the center of our being, because in the center of our being is another center of being, and there's only one being, one life.
Thank you.
We have to remember that. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
So we are experiencing here the gift of deep listening. And it brings up the question how much we all listen to ourselves and to others. So especially when
Juliet
something
is-
shakens us. Mm-hmm. Please.
Yeah, Juliet has her hand up.
Thanks. Yeah, I think this is a time of great shaking, and looking at the whole process of what helps us come through, I think one of the things that is demanded is looking at our judgment, because if we still remain judging according to old standards and conditions, it's very hard to allow, because we want to blame, shame, we want justice. The whole concept of justice is a very old paradigm concept, and it's usually in some way punitive, in some way that somebody has to pay for retribution or whatever. And I heard a story the other day which really struck me, and it was somebody talking about his best friend's brother and saying that he was a really difficult, I won't use the word, character. But then they looked back and saw that as a 3-year-old, he'd been abused by a babysitter, and he was abused repeatedly. And the babysitter threatened that if he ever told his parents, he'd kill his parents. As a 3-year-old, you can imagine. And then, so then if you want to look at justice, well, you think, well, what about that fellow who is abusing him? But then that probably had hurt people. So how far back do you go in terms of justice and our idea? We're so attached because our old paradigm education was very immersed in the idea of right, wrong, good, bad, morals. And that, that you must be on the right side of moral laws and things. But I've also known from different parts of the world that what's morally right in one culture may be abhorrent in another culture. So as a species, if we're moving forward, it's a matter of de-learning what we think is right and wrong and good and bad sometimes too, because otherwise we're going to judge someone, and it's probably completely inept and inappropriate, and then it's going to color the rest of our experience. So it's very difficult, but I mean, I think going back to the idea of complete innocence and just trying to strip ourselves of all of our value systems, who we think we are, what we think is right, what we think is wrong, everything basically that we've been taught, other than stripping down to our soul level, the innocence of a newborn, and then opening our eyes with new eyes. And I think that these evolutionary new eyes are what are being called for. And I'm feeling that this Unity Week is actually becoming like a catalyst to help us open our evolutionary eyes, because listening to the conversations, there seems to be more and more people in the process over the week of starting to open those evolutionary eyes and start to move the default programming from the personality eyes, the eyes of right, wrong, good, bad, 3D Homo sapiens, right? To moving into what Marx Hubbard would call the Homo universalis, Homo amore universalis, which is a completely different being, a bit like the caterpillar to the butterfly. With the caterpillar, how they saw the world, how she saw the world would be completely different than through the eyes of the butterfly. So the whole shaking up process, I think a big part of it is really learning to see with new eyes, which means completely losing all the old stories and the judgments that we make according to those values. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Juliet. Yeah, I think that just to jump in a little bit, that the absence of self-love, self-compassion really keeps us in objectifying the other. and feeling separate. And so I know that one of our important practices is to allow ourselves to feel loving kindness for ourselves, for what we're holding, what we're carrying. Because, like you said, between the caterpillar and the butterfly, a lot of us, myself included, may feel mushy inside, that I haven't yet sprouted those wings. And I know that it's a transformational time, but am I allowing myself to feel compassion for the states that I'm in when I'm not in that universal self, my beingness? So I just want to open it up again. If anybody is feeling that being heard might be of benefit, for feeling our compassion for what you're going through, what you're feeling, as a way to assist you in allowing yourself to feel compassion for yourself.
Elizabeth?
Something I've done forever is to become curious about people, about myself, not to make anybody's story wrong or even judgment wrong, but to become curious about it, sincere curiosity. A case in point, a friend of mine did a couple things or wrote a couple things that was perturbing to me. And it wasn't personal. It wasn't political, it wasn't personal. She was talking, but I was perturbed. And I just said, all right. And I knew, I thought I'm not going to communicate with her for a while, except short little things like, great to hear you're doing so well. Because I had some judgment. I was like, I got some judgment here. What's this about? You know, and I kind of stepped back to ask myself, what am I missing here? What are my needs that aren't being met when I'm hearing her life this way? You know, not to make her wrong, but to look and think, why is this upsetting me? What is this about? And to honor that, you know, because I have a right to have my needs. And I am a storyteller by trade also. So stories fascinate me because they Fatal, when you said about that woman who was, you know, saying about Nazi Germany or World War II, whatever. I mean, I'm fascinated by the polarities and by the other person who thinks so differently from me. And maybe because it's my wish to find common ground and to have compassion so that we could communicate. And not to even make my judgments or their judgments wrong, but to become curious. That's what happens for me. And to take care of myself in that. So if I'm feeling under attack or shaken, to step back and to take care of me in those situations as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I want to thank you also Michael, who wrote in the chat about his being shaken. So I want to honor your process you went through. So what Michael is also saying, accepting what is and not judging that everything is right, but that is always our invitation, because as we heard already from several of you, it separates us. If I judge myself, if I judge the other, I separate. So Elizabeth was experiencing curiosity that connected. Yeah, so Ryan and I, we were facilitators in compassionate listening, and one bridge we use there is to find a common value. Somebody might have complete opposing actions that might create a big conflict, but the values might be the same. And when you can find this bridge within yourself or with somebody else, what are the commonality? And can there be a strategy that is not harmful? So that it is inclusive and not one is right, the other is wrong, or it's a power structure, who has more arguments, who has better weapons. So that is clearly challenging, but it starts with being present with what is and tuning in, allowing the feelings that we have, moving towards it. Let it move through us. And maybe we are lucky and access this inner peace where we can see from a new perspective what is going on. And new solutions might show up we never thought about.
I think in community, we find a lot of support for each other and get to see the commonality of some of our issues that then sometimes feel like I've been overly focusing on my stuff, my shortcomings. And you sit in a circle like this and you hear people sharing from their truth. All of a sudden you say, wow, I'm here with others who are also going through issues. And, you know, I think back to, I think she left. The woman from Holland talking about as a child seeing the starvation that was pretty much broadcast into most families, most people that were at all taking in the state of the world. And, you know, just having parents that said, oh, you know, you can't leave any food on your plate. And then shaming if you don't like peas or broccoli. So, yeah, it's really, I have to say, it's a blessing to be in with all of you, because we're all moving through it. And yeah, it's really nice to not feel alone in this transition time we're all in. I see Julia.
In the world of shifting perspectives and feeling included, for just in case Lisa and Brian, you didn't see in the chat, Michael wrote, "Hey everyone, can't talk right now. I was shaken early in 2020 when I developed a mild case of vitiligo, which is the loss of pigment in some areas of the skin. Prior to this, I was consumed by vanity, and it was devastating at first, even though it is not really noticeable. And nobody has ever asked me what's wrong with your skin, because you really need to look to notice. but it just goes to show how much I identified with the surface level aspects of myself. Over time, I have learned, and am still learning every day, to accept and love myself and others beyond the surface level and see beauty in all creation. I'm undergoing treatment now. It is improving slowly, but I am teaching myself to see it as a blessing, a way for the universe to humble my ego. There is nothing wrong with my skin! Exclamation point.
Yeah, so there's an awakening process. And maybe Dr. Herman, you want to share, you were interested in the awakening part?
Lisa, no, I was clapping hands for the beautiful message that Michael posted.
Sorry, I couldn't understand. Could you repeat, please?
Lisa, I didn't mean to share anything.
Oh, I see. Right.
Tom read the beautiful message that Michael posted, and I was applauding his message by clapping my virtual hands.
Thank you.
But Lisa, I will be talking in 8 minutes, and I'm going to tell you my story.
So anyone else want to jump in before we have our closing? Elizabeth?
Well, I have a question and sharing. One is, how do we find out about Dr. Herman Eddeling's? Obviously, I'm on the tail end of what's going on here, so I don't know. Where do we find out about that? So that's one question. And my sharing is, one thing I discovered for myself, which was very powerful, it was after many people died in my life, and my people who meant the most to me in this world left the world. And I remember talking to somebody, and she said, well, you need to have radical acceptance. So she was using it in a really different way, really harsh way. And I closed the door, and I came to see that my acceptance can be wide enough to accept that there are some things in this world I may not ever have peace with, and that's okay. I'm not going to find peace in my heart with certain aspects of the medical establishment or of violence, or, that I'm okay to accept that there are some things I may not ever accept. And that brings me a great peace. It's a kind of a strange thing to say, but I wanted to put that out there for people. And it also, it weds me to my deepest values for peace, personal, global, and universal peace.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And to your question, Hasina posted in the chat that Dr. Herman will speak in the same room. So it starts in 8 minutes or less than. So if you just stay
minutes,
here.
So,
so maybe we come close to an
So I think
completion.
that we should play the closing video. Thank you. Thank you all as we come to a closing now.
Let's close our time together with a moment of silence. Listening in to each other. Being present with each other. feeling the unity in amongst our beautiful diversity. And let's face forwards as we move on to our next engagement. Taking with us the essence of this experience so that it may live on. As we continue moving through life, creating new experiences and building on what we've done together today.
So thank you for joining us. May life shaken and awaken you.
Yes, thank you all. Good to see so many of you here with us. Yeah, love and blessings to each of you.
Yeah, and please join Dr. Herman in the next session.